Welcome to Sights on the City, Durham, where we curate your city. This week, Chris Vitiello is out, but our buddy Rusky is going to be here, aka Justin Laidlaw. We're going to take some parallel walks through Durham's neighborhoods, show you swaths of the city that we both see regularly, and we're not sure if you do or don't see, but we want to share with you our vision. Shall we?
Yeah. So this is kind of the first step for me on my walk to Central, or downtown rather, the corner of Linwood and Fayetteville. You can see the bus stop right across the street from us there. One of the more convenient things actually in this neighborhood to have the bus stop right at the end of the street. I've taken the bus I don't know how many times into town, so it's nice to have that there. Right behind us is an abandoned convenience. And I've seen some people working on it, but it's been empty pretty much since the time we've been here. And then down this strip is the Fayetteville Corridor, where I walk to work. It's about two and a half blocks before you hit the communications building where I have all my classes. So we're going to take a trip down there, and I'll show you some more of the walk down there. This is one of the remains, I should say, of one of the many abandoned buildings down this Fayetteville corridor. It had been sitting for I don't know how long before we moved in last October. And only a few months ago, it caught on fire. They didn't say what the reason was, whether it was arson or just somebody throwing out a cigarette. But the city finally got around to tearing it down last week. It had been sitting here burned, and you can still smell the burning of the wood when you walk by it. It's pretty strong, and so as we continue to walk, you'll see there are many more buildings that could end up just like this on this strip before we hit campus. Communications building. This is where I end my walk every day. As you start to move kind of further that way, you hit more central buildings, less residential stuff. But it's a weird reminder every morning, taking that walk and seeing all those abandoned buildings and then hitting campus, the difference between the growth that Durham has in some parts of town and what we've neglected in other parts of town. And I'm interested and eager to see how that plays out in the next few years. There haven't been a whole lot of news blasts about what they're going to do with this corridor or the surrounding neighborhood. And I think it's a shame, honestly, that Central students have to be surrounded by this, and the city hasn't done more to fix the neighborhood. The other end of Fayetteville. This, if I was going to work at a downtown, I would take this walk, or bike rather, either one, into town. And you can see right in front of us here is this shopping center, Phoenix Crossing. Has a few shops that operate, maybe 4 or 5. A lot of them are beauty supply stores, and there's a small convenience store on the corner there, but not a whole lot of life outside of maybe the KFC from time to time in that shopping center. And then right behind us, on the opposite side of the street, there's a huge landmass of empty foundations where it looks like they began a project and never finished it. And it's been sitting like that even before I moved into town. It was it looked exactly like that. And so, again, another instance where there's opportunity, but the city or whoever has not taken the time to really look into, redeveloping this part of town. So as I continue down Fayetteville, you'll see, a lot of the same kind of just very lifeless area, even, at the most popular times of day. Not a whole lot going on with the exception of, people maybe sitting on the sidewalk, chatting, or, popping out of a KFC, like I said. Right before we hit 147, we're right in front of the Pelican Snowballs here. Right in front of us is this somewhat nice shopping center. They do have a Subway in there that I see people in from time to time. And there's Food World, which is nice because other than Food World, there really isn't a grocery store anywhere close to here in either direction. So it's nice to have Food World there. You can pop in and get just about anything, really. And then right across the street, over there in the intersection there is the Hayti Heritage Center. Most people are familiar with it. They do a lot of different things in the space. They meet on Sundays for church. They have spoken word poetry there. Central uses it a lot for jazz performances and other things. So it's a really nice piece of the community here. And then as of this week, there's a brand new co-working space that opened called Invictus, and it's directly across the street from us. I don't know a ton about it. I know that the Chamber of Commerce was here for the ribbon cutting. It's supposed to be targeted towards minorities, which is a good step forward for trying to bring more business and more life into this side of town. So I'm interested to see what happens with that co-working space. I think it'll be a great addition to the neighborhood. So one of the last few stops or pass-bys for me on the way to work, kind of starting to hit more into the downtown area. The old Rick Hendricks lot is right there next to us. You can see the new Human Health Services building up there. This is kind of where I start to transition into that downtown mode or downtown feel. You've kind of left a lot of the abandoned storefronts and houses behind, but still haven't quite crossed over into the new life of downtown Durham. We still have to pass the courthouse and the jail, which is unfortunately one of the last things I see before I go to work. It's not a pleasant reminder, but it's something to think about, and it definitely gets me going in terms of how I feel I want to have an impact in Durham and what I think I can do and what we should do in this part of town. So although it's kind of a downer, it's good to have those reminders every once in a while. So this is kind of the final stop right before I get to work. You can see the American Underground signage right above the parking deck there. And you really start to feel the energy, the noise kind of coming into town. But, like I said before, unfortunately the jail and courthouse are right next to us. So it's a weird juxtaposition to have that there next to one of Durham's finest arts establishments, the DPAC. And so, yeah, it's a really different walk, I think, than maybe a lot of people take to work if they do walk, and it gives me perspective on what I'm doing. I think working in American Underground, living or hanging out downtown, I experience things that a lot of people who are my neighbors, who live in my neighborhood, don't get to see that side of Durham. And so it tugs me in a lot of different directions. But, again, it gives me perspective on what's important, where I think the city should go. We were talking about the apartments they were building and the Rick Hendrick lot and how we already have 1 million apartment buildings. And, kind of just what that says about the city's priorities versus what is necessary to make this a long-lasting growth and not just a flash in the pan. So this is it. This is American Underground. This is my official stop every day on the way to work. It's nice to be able to work in a place like this, and I think I've been in here for 2 years now, working with a couple different companies. I started in here with Shifts In, and I'm now in here with Runaway. And I really appreciate the atmosphere that American Underground has created. And I think, we mentioned before how every development is different. We can't treat all development the same, and I think American Underground has been a really positive force in terms of trying to change the nature of business in Durham with entrepreneurship, with cultural diversity in the companies. So it's uplifting, even with all of the different landmarks on my way to work, to end here and to think that all those things that come to mind when I make my walk to work, I can do something about it. And there are people in this building that want to help fulfill those obligations as citizens of Durham. So it's encouraging to work here, and then I can appreciate that.
Next week on Sights in the City, we'll give you a different perspective. We'll show you my walk to work starting out here on 9th Street. Durham, we love working with you. Follow us at Clarion Content Media. We curate your city.